Good morning, everybody. It's Marty, the JavaScript party. No Rhett today. We've got a house full of dogs. Dogs. My son's getting his house appraised today, so he dropped off the dogs so that the appraiser can walk around without the dogs being around. And because interest rates have dropped, so he's hoping to lower his mortgage a little bit. So we have the dogs, and anything we can do to help, we definitely like to help. Um, so here we go. And basically, today what I was going to do is I was going to try to commit the code that I have. But before I commit, I always want to get my unit tests, make sure I'm still at 100% unit test coverage, and get end to end, make sure that all the end to end tests run, and maybe add an end to end test or two just in case of something. But the sort of the theme of what I'm working on now, which is like definitely what we would call a rabbit hole. It's like we had a task we're working on, and then it was like, oh wait, here's something that we may need to attend to, and it's like, oh wait, here's something we might need to attend to, and oh wait, so we are rabbit hole after rabbit hole after rabbit hole down these paths, and it all kind of started with because I was trying to get update working, so and the because basically like since the early days of software development, there's always been this thing called CRUD: create, read, update, and delete. So I can create, right? I can go add. Oh no, is it not working now? So we did have that working. I don't know why that's not working now. We were able to add, but we could add and then delete. And then we were working on update. And when we worked on update, I noticed something, and then I noticed something, and then I noticed something. But one of the things I definitely noticed was we come in here, and it's so wild. Okay, so that's working. So you can't add on the initial um, if you're in custom for some reason. Or maybe if you're in nothing, you can't add. Maybe that was the problem. Let me get rid of this. We are supposed to be by default. Ah, yeah, and actually, I think I remember the change that we made that broke that. Um, so yeah, when you're in nothing, it should be defaulting to current, um, and I suspect the current is being displayed, but it isn't rendering because we changed the way that the rendering happens. So we missed something that would have definitely been caught in end-to-end testing. I don't think unit testing would have caught that, but end-to-end testing definitely would have caught that, or I'm pretty sure. But one of the things, the rabbit hole that we are just layers and layers and down, something that I newly discovered working on this specific thing. It's this concept of detached elements. So here they're called detached elements. When we actually run the code, they call it detached. They have this thing called detached nodes. And so right now, oddly enough, we don't have any. I thought I'd found a situation where we go like this, and then let's go ahead and add a viz, add another viz, and then let's close that, and then go to this, go to this view, and then go back to this view, and then if we ran our, we take a snapshot, yes. So we have, well, see, these aren't the ones that I was worried about though. So, and maybe this is something that got fixed. Um, like things don't always work the same when it sort of redraws because you made changes. Obviously, I would never want to give up that feature. That feature is awesome. The fact that you can make your changes, it just automatically redraws. But things don't always work exactly the same as if when it's compiled from startup or when it builds everything from startup. Sometimes things are a little bit different. I noticed that like over time that for sort of difference sort of widens with time, and then it'll go to nothing where basically there's no difference, and then it'll widen with time. And I think it's just sort of a natural progression as they add more features and as the features get better, you're going to kind of experience that. But you do see we do have some um, detached elements, but these are not the ones I was concerned with. What I was seeing yesterday was rows, like rows, these rows here. when I would go back to here and I would run the take a snapshot, I would see a bunch of rows in there that didn't belong in there. And those looked like they were pretty expensive, so I wanted to deal with those, but they seem to be squared away. So I guess I'll go back to the original mission, which was to compile everything. And actually, I guess there's no reason to do that because I do need to get this fixed. So right now it should look like this. And I don't know what just happened, but I think when I went there, it actually deleted everything too. I don't know. That's weird. Oh, it actually reloaded the whole page when I did that. But so if I hit add right now, I should see something like it was in custom. If we do an inspect, I'm thinking that we'll see that the gallery is actually being displayed. The custom layout, I think, is visible. It just doesn't have anything in it. This one should be hidden, I'm guessing. Yeah, see, display none. And this one, same. But this one's being displayed, which used to be enough to get it to run, but now we have that. And actually, I made it to where it had to be, where it had to, it has to, I used interfaces and TypeScript to force it to only be a one of 3 values. So I'm gonna have to figure out something for that. So basically, right now there is a visualization, but it's not being rendered at all. And so let me figure that out. So what I did was in here, in this component, the app custom layout component, I have this if current view is equal to custom, but it also should be like this, or current view is equal to blank. And I don't think it'll allow that because it's saying, hey, current view can't be blank because the layout types are set. So I think what I want to do is I want to actually add that as a legal layout type. So I defined what possible layout types exist. I defined them as custom, tabular, or update, but I'm also going to define blank. And we'll see if that solves the issue. So now we can, it'll transpile. So now let's see if it works. I don't know why the menu stayed up even though I hit reload. So let's hit add viz. Okay, yeah, so that fixed that problem. Like a little left wing, out of left field sort of problem that I just didn't think of. Do we have others? I don't know. So let's go ahead and go down the path of running the unit tests. I don't think unit tests would catch that kind of problem. End-to-end tests would definitely, I believe, would have caught that kind of problem. But let's see, npm run test. So this is how I launch my unit tests, and that's how it's defined in my packages.json file. So now this is the command it ran, ng test -- watch -- code coverage. It is 8:19 a.m. on a Monday morning. I've got some code at work that is quite complex and all back end and all API, C# stuff that's getting ready to go. It's like it went through a round of PR changes. We're making some really good changes, but now I've gone through another round. I'm getting ready to have it go back through the whole PR process. So that is where I'm at work. And that's always a very stressful time, is when you're trying to get things through PR. It really challenges your communication skills. So, like if your ability to communicate, like why, like if someone wants something that's a change and it's going to have a very negative effect on the code base, it's tough to communicate to them why the change that they want isn't going to help, or vice versa. If you're trying to put some code in that works really well, but it's going to break the code base, then so it finally got done categorically. So what we're going to watch is this and just see that if it's 100% test cover, or see if everything passes, and then two, see if we still have 100% test coverage. We probably don't actually, because we may not, because we did add, yeah, see we're at 90s, in the 90s again. So we do not have 100% test coverage. So what we have to do is we have to create a new tab, because if you drag it into that tab, it won't work. And you have to go over here, and you should have, if it ran with dash coverage, you should have a file called index.html inside of a coverage folder in your code. And if you drag that into the browser, you can see where the problems are. So this app update layout is very, very problematic. So I guess that should be the first one that we work on. So I thought I thought we were going to have 100%, but then I realized, oh no, all that service stuff and all that is totally new. Okay, so well, we definitely don't want this console log. So this is app update layout. So it's inside the layouts folder and inside the components folder. So there's like several ways to do this. One, you could like look for like this to find it, right? So we could find this line of code, right? This export class. And just depending on like sort of the structure of wherever you work, how you find things like this can be quite challenging. So that is one way that's pretty reliable. You could do a search like that. Two, you could look for it in your file structure. We know it's in the apps folder, app folder, and then we know it's in components, and we know it's in app, in layouts. Okay, so layouts is already open, and then app update layout, app update. So here and there, we could find it that way. And then thirdly, so you could do like a search. Oh, you could just, you could do a search. You could find it through just navigating to it. I can think of other ways too, but we definitely want to get rid of this, which it will reduce the number of lines that are not tested. Right now we have 33 lines, so we should drop down to 32 lines because we removed a line. Hit refresh. I don't think it was done yet. Yep, so now we're down to 32 lines, so that helps our percentage a little bit, but so we have this: if current view is update, then set this stuff. So really the easiest way to do this kind of thing is to turn this whole thing into a function and not have it in this effect. So just the logic. I mean, so if you take all of this, and there was like a there's like a name for this. It's called like functions overflow. So like theoretically, what we can do, if we really, and I don't know, I think we could do this. We could say like this ID is equal to the result from a function, right? So say this what is this ID? Oh, this is the ID of the one where, so we could call this like get, this dot get um, current visualization ID. And there's a lot of benefit to doing it this way, because like when I was like, what is this even doing? Like if you read a function name, you can tell yourself, oh, this is, I'm getting the current visualization ID. And then I could say get current visualization ID, and that returns a number. And the dogs are just playing. We have one that just loves to cry. I mean, she just loves that. So that returns a number, and for the moment, I'm just going to say return 0. Also, you know, like this, while it is a lot easier to unit test, it's also a lot easier to what am I trying to say? It's a lot easier to even understand what you're trying to do. So basically, to get the user ID, it actually returns the it actually looks in the URL, right? So we know that we can get so I guess we want to we'll default it to ID so we're gonna let ID is equal to 0, and then we are going to return, then we're going to check to see if the current view is updated. And so what's really nice about something that you probably should do is try to make this a pure function. A pure function is a function that doesn't depend on the state at all. And the biggest reason, there's a lot of reasons to do that. For me, from a practical sense, the biggest reason is because it makes unit testing a lot easier. But if we're being completely honest, it also does make the code a lot easier to understand. So I'm just going to say current view is equal, and that's a string. So what's really nice about this is now unit testing this is so much easier because I can just pass in and I know what I expect. I don't know, I might have to, I probably want to also pass in the URL. And again, that just makes things, I don't know if that's better or not. This is like sort of a global variable. The window location href is a global variable, but it does make things a lot easier to it does make this a lot easier unit test, and then this code will just run. So in this we pass it this dot current view. Oh no, current view. And see like how we didn't have to do anything to make this code run, to get code coverage on this, because it just runs. Current view and window dot location dot href. And so now we can just grab all of this code and just copy this down here. We can say return ID. And then instead of this being window location, we'll just tell to use the URL. So now we don't have to, during our unit test, we don't have to figure out Um, this is weird. Okay, so what is that? Okay, window. You're. So I'm just gonna change this to location. Oh, href. Because that's what it is, right? It's an href. Yeah, I'm changing that to href so I can change this. We just had a name, variable name collision there, so just needed to fix that. Okay, so now it's going to get the href. It's going to split it. It's going to pull off the ID. I don't think we need this comment there. Now, I don't think we want to process the visualization at this point. So now we have the ID, and then when we process the visualization, I think this is the only place we call it. We probably should pass in the ID. Um, and that isn't, so we're gonna, instead of this ID, we're gonna pass in the ID, which is a number. And I don't know if that helps. I think that helps, but I'm not 100%. So, and then over here, so I'm gonna get the ID. And see, it was even weird that we did this, because if the ID is 0, then where that if the ID ended up being 0, it does the why does this look weird? Oh, because it's over here. All right, so so we don't need this code anymore, and this thing actually knows how to handle an ID of 0. So let's just go ahead and not even, we don't even, like, okay, so there we go. And we'll pass it this ID. And now we don't need this anymore. So basically all this does is a single thing. It grabs the ID out of it, gets the ID out of the URL, and it's smart. It cares if the current, it only does it if the current view is updated. Otherwise, it just doesn't do anything. It returns 0. And then the process ID, process visualization, it's only going to do something if the editor view actually works and the ID is equal to 0. Now this is always an interesting thing, like, because you really should kind of put some thought into, is the ID, which one's less likely to happen, or which one's more expensive? I think this is cheap, even though it looks expensive. But I think we are more likely to have an ID that's not 0 than we are to not have, like, the majority of the time we are not even going to be, there's no reason to even look at that, to check that, because the ID is probably not, it's going to be 0 most of the time. So we can just skip that whole step. This will probably exist most of the time, but the ID will be 0. So, it's just a little safer. Now I do think, not safer, but like a little bit more performant to do it this way. But I do think that on the back end, when JavaScript gets a hold of this, it actually will do its own analysis and determine that on its own too, and modify your code so that it works a little more efficiently. So it's like not worth going to war over. But all right, so let's just see. So we made some changes, some pretty foundational changes. Let's see if our stuff still works. See if it compiles. It seems to compile. Go ahead and add a viz, go into that view, go to update, and it's broken. He's broken. We broke it. Broke it. I do like this better. I don't know why it's not working. Um, process food. So let's first things first. Let's go look. And I do end up breaking stuff. While this was probably my biggest hang up originally of doing unit tests at all. Is like, damn it, I already have enough problems. Um, okay, so it doesn't look like there were any console errors. Let me go back to this view. Let's just reload. Ataviz. Close that up. Come in here. Update. Yeah, so it did not work. So let's console log this. And put some question marks there. And like when you're coding and stuff, it definitely always feels like a 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Just see if there's something obviously broken. So right now, it's definitely going to be broken because like it doesn't. There are no visualizations to process, and we definitely want to come up with like sort of a better way of. See, I actually kind of like that once you get used to it. So right now, the current view is custom, so it should just skip. So I guess we want to come in here and then add a visualization. Current view is still custom. Oh. And so now we're gonna, and I think when we change this, yeah, we'll get called again, but now the current view is tabular. And then, oh, but we're stuck in the, so our current view is tabular. And then we're gonna hit update. And now our current view is update. So when we come in here, something should happen. Oh, but our ID is 0. So our ID did not work. So something was wrong in here. So we shouldn't have to sort of, like we don't have to like redraw. Like start from scratch because the code is already doing its thing. And then update. So at this point, current view is update. We're checking for update. Our href is correct. Our URL is correct. Oh. So we probably don't want to do this. Yeah, so we're returning 0. So yeah, we do have a bug in there that was definitely caught by unit tests. Okay, so the bug is, and some of you may have noticed it, but basically, and we don't even need this, right? So the bug was that I wasn't changing our local version of ID. I was changing our this ID. I guess that would have been. I guess that there is some benefit now that I think about it too. Changing the oh yeah, then I was returning 0 and assigning it there. There's some benefit to changing the ID to not being bound to the this. Then it wouldn't have even worked. You wouldn't have been able to modify it. Okay, so let's go to tabular and then add viz update. There we go. So we fixed that bug. That bug was not discovered by unit tests. It would have definitely been discovered by end-to-end testing. All right, so well, we're looking better, a lot better. So let's go ahead and get rid of this and get rid of this. And so now we don't have to do any weird effect stuff to make the effect happen. I mean, you know, we don't have it, we don't have to make sure that the all the different local state attributes of the control of the component TypeScript. We don't have to worry about manipulating those so that we get data, so that our unit test can test things. All right, I thought I deleted that. Why is it not? Let's go ahead and close this thing up. This code should not be there. Is it? Maybe it's not running. This is the unit test stuff, right? So sometimes the unit tests, I don't quite understand why the unit tests run and sometimes they don't. But if you hit refresh on this page, it always runs. It is super, super, super duper reliable. So I think they ran. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So that's all gone. So this will be a lot easier to unit test. I think. This will not. If I do editor view native element. So this again, you know, is one of those flow over function things, or function over flow things. You know, we probably want to create a function that accepts this ID and this editor view and this native view element, and then it'll be much easier to mock this than it would be otherwise. And then it'd be good if we found a better way to do this set timeout thing. The problem is we want it to draw after this has been set, but it will not draw. It will not, if we just had the next line of code run here, it won't have done this work before this runs. So we're sort of trying to force that. I think there is a better way to do it now, though, that we learned in another part of the application, where we can, there's like a function that we can call that says after next, I think it's after next draw or something like that. So we'll probably end up, it'd probably be a good idea to shift over to that now, since we're elbows deep into this thing. But for now, let's work on the get current visualization. So now, basically this, we just want to double check this is the right update layout components. Let's just close everything else. This is update layout component, and so here's our spec. So we don't have much in here. We have one that corrects it, and then we have one that sets the aspect ratio. So it should determine the current visualization ID. So this is a test, and I believe this it's not if it is a spec, right? Is that what they call this thing? It defines a single spec, and a spec is short for specification. In a specification, some people, another word that some people like requirements, like this is a requirement. Should determine the current ID. And so this is nice because we can just pass it in exactly what it's supposed to work on. So basically we can call this function, right? And it's just like well, we're just going to call it a string const view is equal to update. And then our href is equal to, let's just go ahead and copy the one we have up here. And HTTP, we could change this to, I think, any update 106. So that's basically equivalent like www.google or Yahoo or Microsoft.com dash update. And basically it's supposed to take the second thing. So wherever I push this to, as long as it, I think even if it was deeply nested, it would still work. But maybe not. Actually, I guess maybe it won't work. And now this might be a good thing that we caught, because it always gets you oh no, okay, it gets you the last one, so it could be any dot my site. So anything, it's just what matters is this last thing. And we want this to be in quotes. This is probably a good place to put, like, maybe put a little comment. This is should be based the last part of the href. So in this case, update. So all we care about is what's right at the end there, theoretically. And I guess we're testing that now. And then they call it component. That's just part of when they build it out, and the CLI builds out these unit tests, they call it component. And then get current visualization, and we pass it the view, and we pass it the href. Hit save, and then I think we want to be in this guy here. See, that time it definitely ran. And let's see, everything passed, so that's good. And yeah, so now this one is covered. We're up to 80%. I still have 7 minutes, so we can get rolling on the, let's find the easiest one. Okay, so it looks like finalize initialization might be the way to go. See, so this is a good example where, like, it's not pure, right? We probably should pass in whatever this, so we specifically bind it. I don't think after init complete. I think because of the way we did the set timeout, this is a lot easier to do with the this's in it. But boy, it sure would be nice to just run this, pass in the ID, and well, I guess this init complete is equal to true. So it always sets it to true. So it almost feels like I should assign this here and then not bind it and pass in the ID. Now I don't know. Well, actually, that's actually really interesting. I want to try that. I actually am just curious. So if I say like this instead of that, if I say this after complete, equal to this final. Oh, see, that's okay. So the problem so this is the problem that I'm um, always trying to see. I want this, see, I don't want to have to try to figure out how to test this stuff. Um, so that's why I typically do this. I feel like we can just run this and it'll just work though. It'll be 100% coverage. But I really do want to redo that without the set timeout. And I know I'm not using set timeout in some other place where I call things. Um, but I can't remember. It's like a event up here. So I'm not using that one anymore. It's 8:52. Okay. Eventually, like it's kind of like it's pretty new for me. I've probably done it like 6 times now in like the last 2 weeks, but I just can't remember it off the top of my head at this moment. Um, so I'm going to go to ChatGPT and just see if I can formulate the question in a smart way. Okay, so using Angular 20 and 20. Um, because I want the browser to wait until the UI is updated before it runs some code. I recall that there is a new function can be imported that accomplishes this. It's just this. After next render, yep. I'm gonna. So what you do is you come in here, and if you watch me all the time, then you've seen this. After next render, comma, you pull it in, and then I believe you can just use it. I believe that's a function. If we mouse over here, yeah, it's a function, and okay, and you pass it in very much like you pass in um, set timeout. It looks a lot like set timeout. Hmm. Oh, I don't think it takes a time. There we go. So yeah, you say, hey, after you've rendered, see this stuff. Well, actually, I don't know why we have to wait because they're actually getting. Yeah, I don't know why we have to do that. Actually, I'm going to double check that that's actually necessary too. But let's just see that we're not broken now. Yeah, so we are in fact broken now. Right? Yeah. Darn it. Okay, so well, I kind of when I saw this, I thought, oh, I'm waiting for it to update the the editor view, but that is not what I was trying to do. So that is probably okay. So I was wrong about that, but which is kind of a bummer. But it's really easy to get sort of diluted, right? Like I was like, I saw some things and I just assumed that I was waiting for basically the reverse of this to happen. But for some reason, I don't want to set this updated to true until this is done. And I don't want to have to. Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm just going round and round on this. Okay, so I want this to be passed in though. I don't want to have to try to get. I don't want to have to set the ID on the component. I'd rather just pass it in. I think it'd just be easier. Service after next complete control. Oh, so this actually gets the renderer. Oh, okay. So I do have to wait, but maybe it's longer. Because the thing is I don't think the renderer exists until after some time. But anyways, so I would like to. So I have this code, and I would like to pass in a variable. Function. I don't know if that's enough. I am actually out of time. Wait. What about the bind? Oh. Bind this. Okay, and then you give it the argument. And change that. And this should make this a little easier to unit test because I won't have to set the variable at the component level. And update. Yep. Okay, so that works. Happy coding, everybody. We'll finish this up tomorrow. Bye.